Dear friends, we are going to discuss the very crux of his teaching, the very essential part which must be understood. And without understanding that crux, if you do all the things in the world, it will be of no use. What is conflict? What is ignorance? What is disorder? What is division? That Krishnamurti is speaking about. And without understanding these things, which are not four different things, they are the same thing. Ignorance, conflict, division, disorder, they mean the same thing. And secondly, Krishnamurti talks about ending of conflict, ending of thought, ending of experience, ending of ignorance, and ending of disorder. All these things are one and the same. He also talks about the desire, the fear, the anger, and so many things. But friends, all these things are not different things at all. These things, their principle, their elimination, all that is governed by same rule. One may think Krishnamurti talks about so many subjects. No, never. He talks the same thing in all the lectures. You cannot say that this lecture is different and this lecture is different. Every lecture is the same. But if we don't understand Krishnamurti, then we may feel that he is talking different things in the different lectures. Even once he was when asked that whether his teachings have changed in last 50, 60 years, he has answered clearly, no, the teachings are the same. So, to understand that crux of teaching, today we will go in some details. We will think in depth, because mere scratching on the surface is of no use. One has to go inside, deep into the conscious, subconscious, unconscious. And without that, there is no way at all. You might have listened to that Ghalib's शेर, जिंदगी भर गालिब यही गलती करता रहा, जिंदगी भर गालिब यही गलती करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी आईना पूछता रहा. And we are doing the same thing. We are doing the same thing, hence we are not understanding Krishnamurti. The problem lies somewhere else. And we don't know how to approach there. That is the problem. Hence, today we will discuss some points so that it will be easy for those who are very, very eager this is in short what we are going to discuss. So, to start, I remember a doha by Kabir. We are talking about conflict, sorrow, suffering, anxiety, disorder, division, all that. And Kabir says, what is the situation? Because we have to start from what is. If we look around the world, or if we look inside us, we find generally most of us are suffering. So Kabir says, Raja Dukhiya, Parja Dukhiya, Dukhiya Baba Bairagi, Dhoot Dukhiya, Avdhoot Dukhiya, Dukhiya Dhani aur Ranka. In such a way he speaks about so many people who are sorrowful. And in the last, he says, वो है ना दुखिया जिसने खुद को जाना. So, this realized one, they state clearly that those who know themselves are the only people who are out of sorrow. This conflict, this division, disorder, all that breeds sorrow. So these realized persons, they say, there is no way other than knowing yourself. Because self is the most important thing for us. Unfortunately, in so many lectures, when I ask, what is important for you? And I am surprised always. Everybody states so many things except the self. Means we don't know what is important for us. That's the tragedy. Because if you don't know self, if you don't know who am I, then the sorrow is inevitable. And to understand that self, again, we have to take the help of the realized one. And all the realized one say that if you want to understand yourself, you have to understand mind process. Because mind and self are not different things at all. And hence, in understanding the mind, you understand the self also. The next problem arises, how to understand the mind. There also these realized ones come to our help. They say, mind is nothing but experience. And in understanding the experience totally, you understand the mind, hence you understand the self also. And in many lectures, we have seen that Krishnamurti clearly states, please understand the experience. And he explains the whole process of experience. And the relation between experience and experiencer. Experiencer and experience, these are not different things. He states clearly, experience is experiencer. And we have to understand that statement. Not as an idea. But you have to understand it actually. We will contemplate on that statement. Experience is experiencer. It's a direct relation. It is not the thing that experience arises first and the experiencer arises later on. No. Both arise at the same time and both dissolve at the same time. When there is experience, there has to be an experiencer also. And when there is no experience, there is no experiencer at all. I will tell you one incident. Suppose it's some 2 o'clock in the night. You have gone to sleep, deep sleep, total sleep. Your senses are not working. Your mind is not working. There is no dream. There is no thinking. And there is no experience at all. No experience of any kind. And when there is no experience of any kind, you don't exist. You don't know where you are, whether you exist or not, whether you are dead or alive. No. One is not conscious at all. One is not conscious of himself. Because there is no experience of any type. And hence, there is no experiencer too. This thing we have to understand deeply. Very, very deeply. You have to realize it actually. Totally. And when Krishnamurti says you have to understand totally, that means you have to understand it at conscious level, at subconscious level, and at unconscious level. Merely understanding it on conscious level is of no use. Because the real problem lies in the unconscious. And unless and otherwise that problem is dissolved, you are always in trouble. It is like that something, you must have heard about the farming. In the farm, there grows a grass, a particular type of grass. We call it in Hindi and Marathi, harali. It's a particular type of grass. And what is the speciality of it? Its speciality is that its roots, they go very deep, up to 1 feet, 2 feet. And there are knots in those roots at deep level, at the deepest level. And unless and otherwise that knot is destroyed, that grass never dies. You may cut it on surface 1,000 times, but it will always keep on growing. And that is what is happening in our consciousness. The root cause of the conflict and the division is there forever. And as we are not conscious of it, and we don't know how to approach it, the trouble goes on and goes on. And here, to understand this conflict on conscious, subconscious and unconscious level, this realized one again come to our help. They say, To understand this conflict at all the levels, you have to understand the mind process completely. And in understanding that mind process, if you are really honest, you will understand the inherent process of division and conflict in that mind process. And if you could actually see that division, how the division takes place, then automatically you will understand the whole process. You cannot understand the subconscious, unconscious and the universal conscious without understanding this division. Without understanding the conflict, there is no unfolding of the subconscious and unconscious. So, the next question naturally arises. Is what is this unfolding of consciousness? And Krishnamurti, while explaining this division and conflict, he states, experience is experiencer, observer is observed, thought is thinker. You can use so many words. The Vedanta is used drashta and drishya. And I would like to tell you that different 35 people have used different 35 words for all these things. And this process, all they call a triputi, a triad. And in this triad, one has to understand the process of division. And we will try to understand that division actually as it is. To understand this division, we have to understand mind process. Now what is mind? We can say that mind means it is composed of some 4 or 5 things. And We can think of those things on the thought level. First, there is something which cognizes. You can say perception, you can say knowingness. It is something which understands, which cognizes, which perceives. And actually, that is a part, not part, you can say, a part of universal consciousness. It is the deepest thing, the thing which cognizes, the thing which understands, the thing which knows. When we see something, we don't know who is the seer. When you understand something, you don't know who is understanding it. When you are knowing something, you don't know who is the knower. And actually, you certainly know that you are knowing. You are knowing it, you are understanding it, you are experiencing it. But what is that knowingness? What is that experiencing? We don't know. That quality which pursues, that quality which knows, it is not of senses. It is not of matter. It is not of brain. It is not of intellect. But that energy which we may call knowingness, it is knowing all these things. Though that energy is existing in all of us, unfortunately, we don't know what really it is. Actually, that energy, which is a living energy, is in all of us at this moment also. But because of the fragmentation in the mind process, that energy which is identified with the matter, it supposes that it is the matter. And hence we wrongly assume I am the body. But actually, is really I am a body? can see one thing clearly. The thing you experience is certainly not you at all. Whatever may be the experience, when you can experience it, you are different from it. That is what you feel. And that is because of the process of division, and one feels, I am different and the experience is different. And this is what is taking place in our consciousness. The experience arises, and along with that experience, there arises an experiencer. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is that this experiencer doesn't know that he is not different from the experience. He is the experience. And not knowing this fact, because of ignorance, this experiencer, assuming him to be different from the experience, starts evaluating the experience. And that is pleasure-pain principle. All this is happening in our consciousness, and we have to be aware why it is happening. You have to be very alert, you have to be aware, and at the same time you have to be choiceless. Only that mind which has a quality of choicelessness and the awareness at the same time, only that mind can see this division. The mind full of ambitions, desires, wants, will never see this division. It will never understand this division. That is the essential part of understanding the self. Without desirelessness, choiceless desirelessness, and at the same time, total awareness, complete awareness, moment to moment. If one has got such a state of mind in which there is no desire at all, that mind doesn't want anything, that mind is not searching anything, that mind does not want any end result. It is aware out of understanding of the division, because of division there is a sorrow and suffering. And when actually sees this division, one understands the futility of this mind process, this thought process, this experience process. And one understands the futility of experience and futility of mind. And when you understand futility of the mind, futility of the thought process, and that too out of understanding, out of choiceless awareness, not as an idea. And when such a understanding takes place, there arises a state of mind which is a still mind. Still but totally aware. Not reacting, not wanting, just observing what is. And if you have such understanding of choiceless awareness, out of understanding of the mind process, then Krishnamurti says, be aware moment to moment. You have to be aware all the time. So, you are totally aware at conscious level. The mind has to acquire this quality without any aim. And if mind acquires this quality, then there is a auto-unfolding program in the consciousness. If mind is totally choiceless, really choiceless, not wanting anything, not even moksha, and the mind which understands the futility of the experience, futility of the mind, futility of the senses, such a mind then enters into the subconscious with the same understanding. And if that understanding is really deep inside, then whatever experiences are there at subconscious level, they are eliminated automatically. You have not to do anything. There can be very, very difficult experiences. Tremendous experiences. Fearful experiences. Or tremendous attachments. Tremendous desire, anything. You are tested there. Your choicelessness is tested there. Your choicelessness, even at the subconscious level, is tested. And if you are not really choiceless at subconscious level, you are back into the consciousness. Further journey is stopped. But if fortunately one is really choiceless, one has understood the choicelessness and the futility of the experience or the illusory nature of the experience, then the mind remains in the state of choicelessness. You may experience so many things. The experiences front of you, just like slides. And if you are really perfectly choiceless, those will vanish within no time. As if the slides are going on, the slide coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. And if you are rooted in that choiceless awareness, then that choiceless awareness enters into the unconscious, which is the deepest of the consciousness. That's the seed of the ego. That's the seed of the mind. And it's not an idea. It is actually something. And I tell you, there is a tremendous fear. Unlimited fear. Such a fear if an ignorant person experiences that fear, then he will turn mad. Such a fear. Limiting fear. And in that state, if you have really understood, observer is observed, experience is experiencer, thought is thinker, then what happens? I tell you, that state is something like to be in cave or to be in a balloon. Some limited space and sensations of the fear. Tremendous sensations of the fear. It is not that it is different from you, but you are that limited space and you are those sensations. And that is what that space is. Actually, though limited, there is also not a division. But this seeds of the ego in the form of fear. You know what that fear is? If you are thrown from the 25th floor and when you are traveling down, not reach the floor yet, what will be the fear? That fear is there. You are going to die certainly. There is no chance of survival. And if you are really rooted in choiceless awareness and you remain with that fear, and I really tell you, in that situation, I heard, be there, don't move. Be there, don't move. And what happened? And that balloon gets burst. And the inner space and the outer space, they merge into one another. And there is the experience of our inner space, an infinite space, limitless space with easiness or beingness, or you can say I amness, where there is no center. Infinite space. And in that infinite space, there is no division. The experience and the experiencer are not different. And that is the ending of the conflict. That is the ending of the thought. And that is the ending of the disorder. And this is the only way. There is no other way than this. And Krishnamurti has spoken throughout his life this process of consciousness and conflict only. He is telling us to understand this process actually happening, not as an idea. But unfortunately, the condition is you should be totally desireless. And we are never in that state. So we never understand Krishnamurti and we never understand ourselves. This mind process, this division, its actual realization, all that is meditation. To understand observer and observed, their relationship, they are arising simultaneously, their dissolution simultaneously, because this conflict, this observer is observed, that exists at conscious level, subconscious level and unconscious level. This conflict has to be resolved at all these levels to understand yourself. If you swim in the water which is just 2-3 feet, it is of no use. You have to dive into the deep oceans of your consciousness. Then only you can find that jewel. Otherwise not. And all the saints have talked about this division only. I can tell you so many examples. When I read this observer and observed in Krishnamurti text, I was shocked. And one day, I came across a doha by Kabir, which was saying, चलती चाटी देखकर दिया कबीरा रोए, दो पाटन के बीच में साबित बचा न कोई। ये जो ऑब्जर्वर एंड ऑब्जर्व है, ये दो पाटे हैं और इनके बीच में कोई भी साबित नहीं बचा है, क्योंकि हमें ये समझ ही नहीं कि ऑब्जर्वर इज ऑब्जर्व, ये समझ ही नहीं। और ये समझ न होने के कारण हमारा मेडिटेशन में प्रवेश ही नहीं होता। और मेडिटेशन में प्रवेश ही नहीं हुआ तो अनफोल्डिंग ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस की प्रक्रिया होती नहीं, जो कि एक ऑटो प्रोग्राम है। ये कंप्यूटर में कैसे प्रोग्राम रहते हैं वैसा एक प्रोग्राम है। लेकिन बात क्या है, यदि हम कंप्यूटर का वो जो कीबोर्ड है उसके बटन दबाते रहे तो कुछ का कुछ होने वाला है। लेकिन इन नेचर ने एक ऐसा कंप्यूटर हमारे बीच में, हमारे अंदर फिट किया है। वो कंप्यूटर में एक ऐसा प्रोग्राम है कि यदि तुम उस साइकोलॉजिकल कंप्यूटर का एक भी की न दबाओ, कुछ मत करो, जस्ट बी चॉइसलेसली अवेयर। यदि ऐसा हो जाता है तो ये जो हमारा नेचर ने दिया हुआ कंप्यूटर है उसमें एक ऐसा ऑटो प्रोग्राम है जिसमें पूरा का पूरा अनफोल्डिंग हो जाता है। कुछ करना नहीं पड़ता, कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं। वैसा प्रोग्राम ही हमारे अंदर छुपा हुआ है। लेकिन हम इतने बेवकूफ हैं कि हम उस कंप्यूटर की दबाते ही रहते हैं और इसीलिए वो चीज कभी भी समझ में नहीं आती है। और जिस किसी को ये चीज समझ में आएगी उसका काम हो जाएगा। और यही बात कृष्णमूर्ति समझा रहे हैं। क्या है, हम हमारे मन के इतने एडिक्ट हैं कि हमारा मन जो कहता है वो हम करते हैं। और हमें पता ही नहीं कि जब भी हम मन का सुनते हैं और मन के अनुसार बर्ताव करते हैं तो हम मन को ही ताकतवर बनाते हैं। यह हमें पता नहीं, और पता न होने के कारण हम मन का सुनते हैं। सुनना, ऐसा हमको सिखाया गया है। सुनना जन का और करना मन का, ऐसी गलत ट्रेनिंग हमें दी गई है। ये मन का सुनने की ट्रेनिंग इतनी डीप है, इतनी डीप है, कॉन्शियस, सबकॉन्शियस और अनकॉन्शियस लेवल पर, और इसीलिए सत्य का प्रकटन कभी होता ही नहीं है। कुछ करना नहीं है, और कुछ भी करना वो ऑब्स्टेकल है। ज्ञानेश्वरी में ज्ञानेश्वर महाराज कहते हैं, देखे उपाय तो अपाय। इफ यू डू एनीथिंग then that will destroy it. And our gurus teach us to do something. They say, do something, do this, do that. And we ignorant follow them blindly without understanding. I remember one incident. A person approached Raman Maharshi और उसने कहा कि मोक्ष पाने का सुगमतम उपाय क्या है। रमन महर्षि ने उत्तर दिया, बिल्कुल सीधी, एकदम सिंपल बात है। क्या करना? तेरा मन जो भी करने को कहे वह मत करना, मोक्ष हो जाएगा। देखो कितनी सिंपल बात है, कितने आसान शब्दों में संत हमें कहते हैं। और न जाने क्या पागलपन हम में है। कितने संत आके चले गए और हमने उनकी कभी नहीं सुनी। बोलते बोलते एक वक्त तो कृष्णमूर्ति जी बोल रहे हैं कि मैं नहीं जानता कि मैं क्या कह रहा हूं, उसे जानने वाले 5 लोग तो भी है कि नहीं। ये कृष्णमूर्ति का स्टेटमेंट है। इतना डिफिकल्ट है ये। ज्ञानेश्वरी में वही आती है, श्रद्धेच्या महापुरी नित्याची कोटीवरी परिप्राप्तीच्या पहिलतिरी विरळाप होते। ऐसे मिलियंस बिलियंस भी निकले तो वहां तक पहुंचने वाला कोई विरला होता है। ये जो है ना, ये माइंड, इसको समझना है। मैं आपसे कहता हूं, एक उदाहरण देता हूं कि अपने कार में बैटरी है। ये कार आप आगे की तरफ चलाए फॉरवर्ड डायरेक्शन में, या पीछे की तरफ चलाए बैकवर्ड डायरेक्शन में, कैसी भी चलाए, दोनों ही केस में बैटरी चार्ज ही होने वाली है। वेदर यू थिंक पॉजिटिव और वेदर यू थिंक नेगेटिव, In both the cases, mind will get strengthened in any case. But if your car stands still for 2-3 months without moving forward or backward an inch, then that battery discharges automatically. You have to do nothing to discharge the battery. It gets discharged automatically. Similar is the case with the mind. Be still, don't move, and the mind will get discharged. That is the process. Thank you very much.